This week on the bonus round, we're in Las Vegas at the 2015 DICE Summit. I'm joined by Gearbox Software's Randy Pitchford, Alex Rogopoulos from Harmonix, and the director of USC Games, Tracy Fullerton. Hey, welcome back to the bonus round on GameTrailers from the DICE conference in Las Vegas. I am here with Tracy, Randy, and Alex, and we are now going to talk about innovation in gaming, which is something that everyone always says they want. But there are lots of pressures out there that can cause people to make things a little too similar to what they were before, and sometimes that's a good thing because people want more of the same. Randy, let's talk about innovation as it relates to DICE, and that's the I in DICE is for innovation.
It's pointing right at it's right
exactly,
in front
pointing
of me.
right
So
at you. So
I'll attempt to represent this, but we'll see how we do.
But let's talk about innovation in gaming, and it's a topic that we've covered in bonus round. Everyone's talked about before about how there are all these sequels of the same game again and again, and often those games can be really innovative, but it is sort of the same franchise. So there's sort of innovation, I think, in the world of kind of worlds and storytelling, and then innovation in gameplay. What does innovation mean to you guys at Gearbox? I mean, do you think about it a lot?
Yeah, I don't know if we spend a lot of time just ruminating about the word innovation, right. But fundamentally, I think that the objective is to entertain people, and if part of the entertainment that we get, the joy and happiness we get when we have an interactive experience, it comes from surprise or from a sense of discovery and exploration. It's difficult to achieve that by offering the exact same thing. So if you're going to entertain someone, you need to surprise them a bit. You need to offer them something they haven't had before. But if you get too far off the reservation and the experience is not familiar or comfortable enough, an audience might not be able to even consume this clever thing that you've got. The problem, in classic traditional art, on a canvas, the most innovative stuff is almost incomprehensible, and that's where all the starving artists live. Yep. Meanwhile, we don't seem to put much value in that same still life or landscape with the ocean and the seagulls that we've seen 4,000 times. That like no one's gonna spend a lot to put that in their house, for example. So it's a really tricky balance between familiar and never seen before.
It is. I mean, actually, in this industry, people often talk about innovation as if it's like the sole virtue in game development. And as you said, of course, there needs to be an element of it there. But you just look at some of the great games of the last couple of years. One of my favorites of year before last was The Last of Us. Right. Was it innovative? I would argue that there was very close to zero innovation in that game, but it was masterfully executed within the genre that it was operating. Incredible story, acting, art, everything. And people loved it because it was masterfully executed and with very little innovation. I'm not making an argument against innovation. Right. I just think it has to be recognized as one ingredient at a game developer's disposal to make something that is entertaining, which is ultimately what it's about.
And yet I'll speak up for the wild and crazy folks willing to go out into the desert and seek out the brand new, and the risky. And I would say that in that same year you had something like Journey, which was incredibly innovative, and took those guys really had to go out and seek something brand new and bring it back to us in a way that delighted people and moved them in ways that games often, haven't in the past.
Absolutely, and rewind 1 year further to Minecraft, which was innovative and compelling to a degree that it sparked a cultural phenomenon. It's not even a game; it's a cultural phenomenon at this point. That really was a discontinuity from anything that had preceded it.
And it has made ripples into places like education, for example. In terms of teaching kids programming, but also teaching kids things like history. Building the Great Pyramids in Minecraft now becomes a part of history classes for kids.
Well, and making craft and creativity actually the core of a play experience in the way that it very seldom is in games.
Yeah, it's a tremendous innovation.
So we talk about innovation, of a Journey or some of these smaller games. Is that level of innovation possible when you're making, a big budget blockbuster game, Randy, or does it have to come from the sort of percolate up from the small experimental stuff?
Maybe Borderlands is an example of that. When we were first trying to tell people what we were doing there, a lot of folks thought we were crazy or weren't really giving it much credibility or giving it much chance. I remember watching you and who was that guy? The analyst guy.
Hector?
Yeah, and he's like, "Oh, that game's dead.
Yeah,
Borderlands is dead.
Sent to die.
He said sent to die." And
exactly.
that's probably a reasonable analysis. And in fact, I think what's actually betrayed from the reality is, Borderlands turned out to be a huge success, is that maybe it isn't about how innovative or how much the same it is. I think what actually defines the quality of the result is how passionate the creators are in their vision, how committed and able they are to execute their vision. And able also involves how well they're resourced and how experienced and how much talent they have. But I've never seen a successful new idea or obvious bet that has been successfully executed by a team that wasn't really bought in and passionate about doing that.
It's a key point, actually, because we were talking briefly earlier about trends in the industry and where's the industry headed and this and that. And of course, as like responsible business people, we're always trying to like look at technology trends or cultural trends or try to skate to where the puck is headed and all this stuff, right? But at the end of the day, the stuff that works is not the stuff that you build because you've done an analysis of industry trends. It's because you or someone in your group or all of you have some vision of something that you're incredibly passionate about, and you just kill yourselves to bring this vision to life. And it might happen to be on the bleeding edge of some new technology trend, or it could be, stale from a technology innovation standpoint, but it's a clear manifestation of like creative passion and love, and so it comes to life in a way that entertains people, regardless of what the industry trends are.
And part of what's exciting about the students that are in a program like USC Games is, they have sort of nothing to lose. They can sort of just experiment and just have fun without having to worry about all the employees back at the studio.
A point I make to them all the time, which is, you're in school now, you can take these chances. There's no bottom line. The bottom line is how much time are you willing to spend? How many people can you get to, go on this journey with you and throw themselves into a game, and they do it. They stay up all night and they do it, and they make these crazy experiences, and sometimes they turn out good, and sometimes they're just a really great learning experience.
Well, when you think of,
So the best way to call a failure.
Yeah.
It's a learning experience. I've had plenty of them.
I want them to fail. That's my
fail
real
fast,
goal.
fail quickly,
and fail now.
Yeah.
I say, fail in school because it's the best place to do
I'm
it.
a master of failure. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I had a board member who used to say to me, Alex, the only way to get good judgment is by having a lot of bad judgment.
Well, and there's a lot of truth to that. I've learned way more
conversion rate on good judgment and bad.
Learning so much more from the bad results than the good ones. The good ones we sometimes learn the wrong lessons.
In fact, they can almost teach you the opposite because you become convinced.
That worked out.
Yeah,
I
did
it all
do that
right.
again and
I
again.
must be a genius.
Copy paste. When you think of innovation, Alex, you brought up an interesting point about, I think often people think of innovation as like, a new gameplay mechanic or, doing something on a new platform or a new interface. And, sometimes things like story and character get downplayed a little bit because people think it's all about, the gameplay mechanic. When you think of innovation in gaming now, Tracy, a lot of the kids or the students that are in the program, how do they define innovation? There are interesting themes that people can attack, right? In terms of like the types of games or issues they want to attack.
Absolutely. So I can't speak to all the students, but I'll tell you my own sort of, vision and what I tell them is that the digital game industry is only one new evolution of games and play in human culture. Human culture has always played from the beginnings. It's probably one of the first things that we did. And if you look back at that culture of play, it's much broader than in terms of who was playing and why they were playing and when they were playing than we have in the digital games industry today. And I would like to reclaim that broad cultural base for games. And I think it's an innovation to look back to that history and say everyone should be playing, and it was once, for example, considered to be an intellectual exercise to be good at a game like chess, right? This was like studying Latin, you study your chess, right? Well, why don't we have that anymore? Why isn't it considered an intellectual exercise to be really, really good at StarCraft or League of Legends, right? I think it should, I think it should be, considered an honorable pursuit.
Well, those of us that do get it, and not only are not afraid but are excited and feel the benefits, we're going to have, and we've proven it, we have an advantage over everyone else in our civilization. And those that don't get it, that are either not playing enough or at all, or being held back from that, they're severely disadvantaged
yes,
in
because
society.
the world is made up of systems, and
Yes.
once you learn how to grok systems and work within systems and optimize for systems, sort of min-max your way through systems, that's a skill you can carry
Absolutely.
with you into, say, a democratic world, which is just a very large civic system. And being a good participant, being an excellent participant in a world system like that, I think has a direct tie back to playing games.
Once a 10-year-old masters a real-time strategy game and the sort of resource allocation judgments that have to be made and watching the implications of that unfold over time, they've learned something about the way the world works that they will never learn in a classroom.
That's correct. And maybe the solution, maybe this is how we can get the third world out of the third world, is we just airdrop Will Wright games on all of these places. And
or maybe if we had a generation of teachers who recognized the importance of that learning and said, wow, isn't it amazing that you were able to master that?
Right.
Let's relate it now to what we're studying in our social studies class.
someday. I mean, someday we'll have a president of the United States that has a gamer tag.
Yeah.
And one of the things we'll have to do, though, as a prerequisite if we want to win in education, is we're going to have to get more socially equal in the who our games reach.
Yes.
Right.
We are better than we've been in the past, but we still have a long way to go. We still skew male.
Yes.
And
It's changing.
in the education system it skews female. Like more of our teachers, more people in education are women.
Yes.
And so we need to reach women first with interactive entertainment for them to understand the value of it and be ready to educate
Well, this
the
is
children.
something I'm
with it.
really passionate about, and I was just saying before we went here that for the first time last year we had more women than men at the undergraduate level accepted in our program, and this year we have for the first time an equal number of women and men in the graduate side of the program.
That is great news.
It is great news.
I have a mandate at my studio where if we've declared our mission statement is to entertain the world, and I've said if we're going to entertain the world, we have to be comprised of the same
Indeed.
distribution of the world, and it's really uneven right now. It's difficult to find talent.
And we're working
so
on
create more.
we're
please.
working on getting African American game students
Yes.
and Latino game
Yes.
students. I mean,
Yes.
there's really a lot of work to be done in this
Yes.
area.
Encouraging
Yes.
news. All right, well, when we come back in the bonus round, we will have more from here at DICE in Las Vegas.